I'm going to do the right thing regardless of all that, but it is causing a lot of consternation in corporate America.
Yesterday, many of the CEOs told lawmakers that complying with so-called ESG standards that weighs the environmental and social impact of an investment, not just whether or not it is a good or bad investment, is costing these banks tens of millions of dollars right now. Jamie Dimon said it could grow to hundreds of millions of dollars at some point. Liz?
Interesting reporting. Thank you so much, Hillary Vaughn, joining us now from House Oversight. Congressman Pat Fallon. Okay, Congressman, it's great to have you on. We want you to listen to the sound from JP Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon. He had a lot more to say on how important U.S. oil and gas is. You're going to watch that. You're going to watch him slam back at Democrats over Biden's student loan bailout as wrong and unfair. It doesn't address college tuition gouging. Watch what happened.
We aren't getting this one right. The world needs 100 million barrels effectively in oil and gas every day, and we're going to need it for 10 years. To do that, we need proper investing in the oil and gas complex. Investing in the oil and gas complex is good for reducing CO2, because what you've all seen is that because of the high price of oil and gas, particularly for the rest of the world, you've seen everyone going back to coal. Not just poor nations like India and China, Indonesia and Vietnam, but wealthy nations like Germany, France, and the Netherlands. CO2 is getting worse. Yes, it was badly done. I wish they had targeted the people who actually needed help. We basically put a Band-Aid on, spent a lot of money, and didn't fix the problem, which will now be ongoing. And we're paying the price of too much fiscal and monetary stimulus. But I don't think you can spend $6 trillion and not expect inflation.
So, but what happened there was Rashida Tlaib went after Jamie Dimon, basically saying she's encouraging people to close their Chase bank accounts because he embarrassed her with his very brief and succinct response. What do you think of that?
Well, no, he did. He sent her back to, the woodshed, really. I mean, because he was talking about, Liz, reality, and she was talking about some fantasy. You're not going to get energy from mermaid fins, unicorn husks, and leprechaun charms. 80% of the United States energy is generated from oil, natural gas, and coal. And if she got her way, she wants to stop that immediately. We would lose millions of American lives, and the economy would collapse. So they have a false belief system, and it needs to be exposed for what it is.
So the electric power grid, 80% of it comes from fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. That's the point, right? But Jamie Dimon
yes.
So Jamie Dimon is making an interesting point that if you shut down U.S. oil and gas, and what's happening overseas as well, China and India, they're moving more toward coal. So that's what he is saying would happen, right?
Yeah, and let's look at, it's interesting how Ms. Tlaib and the rest of her communist friends never call out China. China, Liz, in the last 20 years, the United States has reduced our CO2 emissions by 30%, more than any other country in history ever. But China's CO2 emissions have tripled. Whereas now, even though our economy is larger than China, they emit 2.5 times the CO2 that we do. China is the problem. We share the same planet, and if we want to solve this issue, we've got to address what they're doing.
But we've got, the U.S. energy policy under this White House shutting down U.S. oil and gas. Mm-hmm. And basically, they're saying they are allowing permitting, but you see, like, the federal leases being put on hold in certain parts of the country. This is hitting the midterms. We have GOP Senate hopeful J.D. Vance battling Tim Ryan in Ohio, for example. And Vance is saying rather than release more than 240 million barrels of oil from the strategic reserves as Biden did, he says Biden should be letting American companies drill and refine oil and transport oil.
No, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the first thing he did when he got into office, Liz, was cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. And then within the first week, he put a freeze on the leases and permits for drilling on federal lands and waters. That was a really bad move. And then they've just increasingly declared war on the American energy sector. It doesn't make any sense. It's not putting America first. It's putting America last.
Congressman Pat Fallon, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you on.
Thanks, Liz. God bless.
You too. A federal judge tosses out school mask mandates and vaccine mandates. And look at this. Parents are now